ready. So, I got this stuff over here because if you watched my channel, you saw that I had a mirror deck list on there. But quite a while ago, that deck got stolen, so I decided to rebuild it, but tweak it a bit. So here's the main differences. So I still have 4 Cloudburst, which is, it enters tapped, and it taps to add 1 mana, 1 colorless mana to my mana pool for each locus in play. So I have 4 of those. Let's set that over here. Then I have, to go along with it, 4 Glimmerpost, which it's when it enters the battlefield, I gain 1 life for each locus on the battlefield, so it does include itself when it comes into play. And it taps, just add 1 colorless. And then that's it. Last time I had 16 post, right now I just have 8 post, until I can round up the money for the Vesuvas. But, as before, I have 4 Urza's Tower, except this time I have different artwork. So, there's Urza's Tower, which is tap, add 1 colorless to my mana pool, or if I control the other 2, Urza's Mine and Urza's Power Plant, in addition to Urza's Tower, I add 3 colorless mana to my mana pool instead. So, obviously, I have a playset of Urza's Mine as well. This time I actually got different artwork instead of just having this artwork. But sadly, I don't have my signed copies anymore. And then same thing for, well, it was the Power Plant that I had the signed copies of, and they were all this kind. But now I just have 1 of each artwork. Okay, so that's it for the land base this time. However, to set things into motion though, I have a couple other cards here. I have Prototype Portal and Sculpting Steel, along with skipping into creatures permanent Mirror Land Shaper. So it taps to make a target land an artifact in addition to its other types until the end of the turn. So obviously the general plan would be to use that on preferably Cloudburst, because the general plan is with this combo is to use Prototype Portal to have it enters the battlefield. I may exile an artifact from my hand, which hopefully would be Sculpting Steel. And then X, which is the converted mana cost of the artifact, which is 3, I would put a token that's a copy of the exiled card onto the battlefield. So, with that, with Sculpting Steel, it can enter as any artifact in play, and it becomes a copy, so to make more copies of Cloudburst, since I don't have 16 post. But, and then I also have Clock of Omens, which I can tap 2 untapped artifacts I control to untap target artifact, so therefore that can combo with nearly anything. Then I have, as before, 4 Mirror Matrices, which is 5 cost, it's indestructible, all mirror on the battlefield get +1/+1, and for 5 of any color, I can put a 1/1 mirror token onto the battlefield, which would just come into play as a 2/2 if there's only one, so on and so forth. But I did have 1 extra of my signed ones, so I still have a signed one. And then, as before, I have 4 Mirror Turbines, which is 5 of any color. Tap, put a 1/1 colorless mirror token onto the battlefield, or tap and tap 5 untap mirror I control, and search my library for a mirror creature card, put onto the battlefield, and shuffle my library. And then, as before, I had Mirror Incubator, 6 generic mana. To cast it, 6 generic mana, tap, sacrifice it. I can search my library for any number of artifacts, exile them, and put that many 1/1 mirror tokens on the battlefield. But I no longer have a Chroma's Memorial or Mixed Lattice, so that's going to take a while before I can build back up to that. But in the meantime, I have I have 2 Mirror Reservoirs, which each have a generic mana cost of 3. And then tap, I add 2 generic mana to my mana pool. 2 colorless mana to my mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast mirror spells or activate abilities of mirror. And then 3 and tap it, I can return target mirror card from my graveyard to my hand. And then I have 2 Elixir of Immortality. So it's 1 cost artifact. I can tap 2 and tap it, gain 5 life, and shuffle it and my graveyard into the owner's library. Then Mirror works. 5 generic mana. Whenever a non-token artifact enters the battlefield under my control, so it does not have to be cast, it just has to enter the battlefield. Which means if I search for, let's say, a Battle Sphere with Mirror Turbine, copy it with Mirror Works after I pay 2, and then, or what I also have is, wherever it is here, Planar Bridge. So for 6 generic mana to cast, 8 and tap it, I can search my library for any permanent, put on the battlefield, and shuffle my library. So then combine that with Mirror Works, I can copy anything I want. And I have Unwinding Clock, untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. And then I have Voltaic Key, 1 generic to cast, 1 untapped, untap target artifact. Then I have Alter the Brood. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under my control, each opponent puts the top card of his or her library into the graveyard. So, say make a copy of that with Prototype Portal, make a bunch of copies, or with Mirror Works, and then just make a bunch of tokens and mill them out, or something like that. Then Aetherflux Reservoir. Whenever I cast a spell, I gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. Pay 50 life, deals 50 damage to target creature player, and it's 4 generic mana to cast, which is cool stuff. And then also, I have 2 Golem's Hearts, which is 2 generic mana to cast. Whenever a player casts an artifact spell, I may gain 1 life. So I have 2 of them in there. Hopefully I have 2 out. Every time I cast an artifact, I gain 2 life. Then, also new, I have Shield of the Ages. 2 cost. Pay 2 generic mana, I prevent 1 damage to me. So, with high mana ramp, I hope to be able to make good use of that. And then, as before, I have Darksteel Forge, one of my other copies, so not the original Darksteel version. But, so artifacts I control have Indestructible. And it's a 9 generic mana to cast. But moving on to the other creatures. As we already did show, I have Mirror Landshaper, which is a 1/1, by the way, and 3 generic mana to cast. And then I have, this time around, now I have 4 Mirror Servitors, which is 1 mana to cast, and they're 1/1s at the beginning of my upkeep. If one of them's in play, each player returns all cards named Mirror Servitor from the graveyard to play. So they bounce each other back. And then also what I've got here is 4 Mirror Retrievers, also 1/1s. They are 2 generic mana to cast. When it is put into the graveyard from play, return another target artifact from the grave to my hand. So far, it just seems to be bouncing Mirror Servitor back to my hand at that moment. And then, as before, Shimmer Mirror, 3 generic mana, has flash, and I may cast artifact cards so they have flash. And everything in this is an artifact, because I don't have all his dust anymore, or anything like that. No planeswalkers in here, no non-artifact creatures. But then I have Mirror Galvanizer, 3 generic mana to cast. Other mirror creatures I control get +1/+1. 1 and tap. Untap each other mirror you control. So obviously, I still have the Palladium Mirror, which is 3 generic mana. Tapped, add 2 to my mana pool, and it's a 2/2. So, if one were to remember here, I have just 2 of these, makes for an infinite colorless mana combination right there. And then, to finish things off here, I have still, once again, I have 4 Mirror Battlespheres, which are 7 generic mana to cast, and then it's when it enters the battlefield, before 1/1 mirror tokens, and then whenever it attacks, I can tap X untap mirror I control. If I do, it gains +X/+0 until end of turn and deals X damage to defending player. So that's that for the mirror deck. However, I intend to build it back up to the way it was before, with having Mycosynth Lattice, Memnarch, and Nivinral's Disc, as well as getting for all his dusts for it. But until the next time, this is Leo, over and out.